There you go. Okay.
Hey ha ya hey ha ya hey ya hey yo hey yo hey yo hey ha ya hey ya hey ya.
Oha. Hamitakoyapi. Welcome to the Buffalo Chasers podcast. Again, we are streaming at you live from Fort Peck Community College. We want to thank everybody for joining us today. We are at week number 56, I believe, at least 56 episodes every week, just coming at you in a good way with some good coffee table talk with a couple Dekshis that share some good things with us. Before we get started, one of the Dekshis wants to hook us up with we'll check you. That would be good. Dekshi Earl, can you help a brother out? Help a nephew out with a prayer, please.
Oh, teaching them, but caught me with a mouthful of crumbs, chocolate chip crumbs. Dokash. You know, when you have false teeth, it sticks all over the place. Yeah? Oh, wo chike wakakite.
Oh,
At hokashila wakant haka. When I came up to wakau yakapila, you have wichozani, oina yuksha. Ukumcha he won't hokashila. Kachau kit hakemana. Chalak ash nachtena. Na so it na hanachi ota. Kiksu yapsha. Wopila tranta hecha. We give you thanks for our health. We give you thanks for the understandings and experiences that we've had through our lifetime so that we can share it with others, relatives, friends, and families. And most of all, to be very, very grateful for our lives. Saat Honkashila he, Tate Topataka he, Ucheka Yuha, Etka Unkayak, the Chahan Anahablana, Mushiokapie. So to the four directions, we send our thoughts and our prayers, ask for guidance as we walk this path of life. So we sit here and think about all those loved ones that we all share, our veterans, like Ichita, those off in foreign lands, those are in need of prayer. We ask that we look down and give them direction, give them hope, give them some substance. So we strengthen ourselves, minds, and spirit. We ask to give signs to our relatives who are wondering what to do with themselves in their lifetimes so that they may get the spirit of your giving, your kindness. So I Hokashila that you tell it would check out you have okay up nasa anahopana Mushiokapi. Ilo Otoya Taku Kikapi Kushik Pakash Nachena Johanna Le Kixua Mukomanina Miaka Chahel Mohina Wochika Yucha Miaka. So we sit, our prayers and thoughts go to our elderly, all those in need, and not to forget our little ones. Wakaja Gana Lilo Otana Hachim speech of Chimchachi. Yotela won't be. As the daily days go by, we pass our wisdom, our assistance, our guidance to our young ones, our children. so that they too can experience the ways of our language, our culture, our livelihoods. So yotela nahachile echakulut na komana biftecha het kashila. Takuku hena ochika na chatena na so yukcha. Upia hena yeshcha chahemo ochika okaga. From our minds and our hearts, we ask for guidance and prayers for all people, all walks of life. And at the Wakehena Nachchena Yukcha, Kipshni, we pray for those too who are having a hard time remembering who they are.
Oh, mitakawasi. Mama kashkawasi.
Oh, hope he does. Actually, beautiful prayer. A couple quick announcements before we get rolling here. We wanted to announce some winners of the drawing from the last time we met with our podcast a few weeks ago. There's a couple items we try to give out every week is a jacket, and then we have a couple Kindle Fires left. So the winner of our Kindle Fire for last week's, those of you that participated and gave us a like, gave us a share on our social media, Facebook live stream for that podcast. Those are the individuals that were in this pool from last week. And so the individual that won that Kindle Fire is Brenda Shepard. Winner, chicken dinner.
Winner, chicken dinner.
And we also have a Cho Buffalo Chasers jacket up for grabs. And the winner of that is Ann Baker.
Oh, right on, Ann. Right on.
Ann Stodwayashni, but congratulations.
Oh, huh. Yeah.
Congratulations to both of you. You can redeem those at Student Services at the War Eagle Vision here in Poplar. If you're local, you can come pick it up. But if you're not local, then you can just give us a call, 406-768-6370, and give us your name and mailing address and your jacket size, and we'll hook you up. So with that, again, if you're listening to us, thank you for joining us on the webinar. We have some employees, some students, but we also definitely want to encourage, doesn't matter if you're a student at the college or an employee, if you're on social media and you're following this live stream, give us a like, a share, comment, smash that love button. If you do that, you'll get your name in the hat for next week's drawing. So I definitely want to encourage participation no matter who you are. Even if you already won, do it again. You'll get your name in the hat again, as they say. So with that, what are we going to talk about today, Dex?
Oh, how hecha to dai chanu tushka. Oh, wopila chicha chie wochikia chante waste you ha hecha to dai chanu. Daya hippie chie. Long time no see. Good to see you. I talk with you on the phone, but don't get to see your ugly mug every once in a while. But so it's always good to come together. And again, especially up here, we're in a lockdown status. We're kind of just the essentials are going to work and holding down the fort, and the rest of us are just kind of staying back because of the rise of some of these COVID cases that are going on. And got to learn how to be a little bit more responsible, and that's what we're trying to acquire here is a sense of responsibility that we can communicate with each other through this virtual experience that afforded us an opportunity to kind of share in a good way. And again, I'm really thankful for that beautiful prayer that you shared with us, my brother. Again, we need to understand the importance of this quiet time that we have. You know, a lot of people refer to this alone time as loneliness, but I call it just a oneness, eh? Like you're here all by yourself, and you kind of fill your day with things that you wouldn't necessarily do. And so to maintain some sense of connectedness with the rest of your relatives. And then when Zoom came about, oh man, you know, FaceTime stuff and the new technology. And I think it's important that we utilize this stuff and we've adapted to that. It brings a lot of our older folks, I guess you would say, a little bit more technically involved. They learn how to do the iPads and the phones and connect with each other in that way. And the more, the merrier. So if one of the older folks asks you, how do you do that? Show them how to do it. Set them up. Get them ready. I know that I need a lot of assistance from my son, as well as Chie. He needs some assistance from his son. And we rely lots on Toshka here too to kind of fulfill those obligations of technical support for us to get us all hooked up. So again, these young people are really, I guess, technically oriented in the manner in which we can communicate. So help out your old folks too. Get them an iPad, get them something, help them understand the importance of connecting with us on the phone, because I believe we got lots of good information that we share. And again, the key word there is share. We share it. We're not telling anybody how to live, or we don't want to infringe on or impose on their right to be who and what they are. We're wishing to help them understand the importance of healing from the inside out. And this is an opportunity that kind of accentuates that different thought process on how First Nations people go about life on a daily basis, and just kind of the thought process. And of course, our actions are a little bit different, and we deal with various things that happen to us in a different way. A lot of times they say, how can you tell when the guy is an Indian or non-Indian? They said, well, if you should ever fall down and the one that laughs at you is an Indian, the one that's trying to help you, he's a white guy. That's the difference. We find it's somewhat hilarious when something like that happens. But again, the intent is not to be harmful or hurtful, but just we look at things a little bit differently. And so with that understanding, I was talking with Chie the other day, Toshka, and we were talking about, like, I don't, myself personally, I don't celebrate Christmas, Easter, Thanksgiving. I don't do that, nor does my family do that, other than the fact that Christmas time is for the kids, eh? And we went through the motions and all that good stuff, so they could feel we kind of dealt with the impairment that it would have on our children if we didn't participate and they didn't receive gifts. So we'd go along and we'd buy them gifts and put up a tree and all that good stuff and whatnot. But it wasn't celebratory of the birth of Christ. It was more in a gift-giving way, kind of exercising our virtue of generosity for one another, especially those that we loved and cared for. And so we do that, and then it helped them to kind of feel included with their little contemporaries when they go to school. And what did you get for Christmas? Was you good or was you bad? And then of course they'd all have Elf on the Shelf and all that gift-giving stuff. But in our way, we're it's hard to discuss that because a lot of people don't understand that because of our belief system, our basis of spirituality, we're not doing it against a value system that is Christianized, but we just do it because, again, we don't want our children to feel alienated or ostracized because, again, of what they do. And a lot of people feel that indifferent, and they don't know how to approach people that don't celebrate Christmas, Thanksgiving, Easter, or various other ones. And they kind of look at it like it's blasphemous or something that we're going against. We're not going against, we're just staying with the natural flow. We're trying to respect that opportunity, which is in a way kind of oriented for the young people, a tool to help them behave, Shelf on the Elf sort of a thing. Santa Claus is watching you, those songs they sing and stuff like that. But us, we find that our way of developing the little personalities in our children, the character in our children is different than an adult would deal with his, and we understand that. And we have graciously tried to help our young people understand the importance of mitakie perehichiapo, nidakie piwachiniapelo. My relative, make yourself strong. Your relatives are depending on you. So our avenue of approach in dealing with these things, exercising that ability of generosity, is pretty much dealt with daily. You know, in our way of gift giving, we always give away our best. Because if you just give junk away, it's good. And so we give away our best, eh? And that's what we want our children to understand, and helps them deal with generosity from the heart, eh? And you'll go and we have Christmas almost every day in the summertime, almost every day. I know every weekend, because there's such a sharing of gifts, especially to the visitors at powwows, the celebrations of life that we do. And then, of course, our New Year's is right after the Sundance, gift giving then at that time. You know, that understanding of our inclusiveness as Ekchewi Tashabi, common people that live on this earth, that understand that in the Creator's eyes, we're all the same. And we consistently try to pursue that attitude in our children by helping them understand it's not good to be stingy, it's not good to be mean, it's not good to be bullied or anything like that, or be a bully. But we share that with them, but in a totally different manner. And so our value system is different than the standard that has been established by this doctrine that is Christianized. So our value is more spiritual and more naturally oriented as it relates to dealing with things. You know, you learn about your doctrine. The Christians learn about their doctrine through reading and writing and kind of memorizing stuff like that. Whereas we are more into the abstract learning process, that experiential teaching. We actually want them to involve themselves in giving gifts, showing compassion, empathy, caring, and sharing for one another in a good way. Stuff like that. You know, through ceremony, we have things that we deal with, and we celebrate this life in a different way, but it's usually on a daily basis to develop our character, to strengthen ourselves from the inside out based on those virtues that we have opportunities to exercise. And again, we're talking about compassion, empathy, caring, sharing, loving. You know, my definition of loving, and a lot of people don't understand that, is my definition of loving is acceptance. The definition of love for me is acceptance, because if I accept you, then I love you. That's an act of love just by that mere acceptance. And what that does, it takes all the conditions away from that emotion that we express in a real positive way. And that's what you're trying to do in this gift giving. Like when they give away gifts at Christmas, you would like your children to understand, we really care for you. We love you lots. Here's an expression of my love. You wanted this bike, I bought you this bike. Well, Santa brought you this bike because you're such a good person. And then eventually we find out there's no such thing as Santa. And I hope no young kids are watching us right now. But as we do these things, we realize that it's all giving us an opportunity as adults to understand from the inside out how important that expression is. You know, Thanksgiving to us, they think we should share that because it's coming up next week, I believe. And again, and I don't think we're going to have a podcast next week because of that family-oriented gathering that they look at it as. I myself, I don't celebrate Thanksgiving, only because, again, it's not an opportunity for me to address things in that way. We have family gatherings all the time, you know, at Gohominies, at round dances, and we feed each other at those times. We make sure they're fed. And the most respectful thing you can do to a visitor is feed them, kind of like that. So we do that all the time anyway. We already have those. And there's always a prayer involved in stuff like that from a spiritual perspective. It's not something that we have to do, or we're not doing these things against anybody. We're doing them to be totally inclusive. Anybody's invited to those sorts of things, Indians, non-Indians, whatever the case may be. But that it helps us to realize in that preparation of where this transition is going to take us to this next dimension. And we have a word for that, Nak'e Nulawahu. And in that preparation, that's what we do. And so consistently, we're always trying to strengthen ourselves, because again, it's not for me, it's for the representation of my family, my tribe, my community, in an honorable, dignified way, so we can sustain the integrity of who we are as a people. In spite of the uniqueness of our protocols, our ceremony, our language, we understand the difference that exists there, but at the same time, we can openly, as human beings, be mindful of others' needs. And that's what Dakota, Lakota, Nakona, that's how you define that. I'm your ally, I'm your friend, I'll help you when you're in need. And so we wish to be kind of consistent with that. So that's the thing that I wanted to share, and not to take too much of your time, but I wanted Chie to kind of jump in there somewhere and possibly address another perspective as it relates to how we do these things, how we live, how we think, and how we act at times like that, because we don't want to be disrespectful. We don't want to take anything away from their manner in which they do things, and we always try to respect that. And we would hope that at some point in time, people would open their minds to realize the importance of that reciprocity in which we're wishing for others to be strong enough to understand the diversity that exists there. Chie, what do you think of that? What pops into your mind on that?
Like for myself, Christmas is for the kids.
Oh, Hechitu.
And oftentimes I would get a little criticized for it, because, I was baptized as a Catholic, and went through, how would you say it? The process of becoming civilized, so to speak. But one time when I was in Lower Brule, this grandma was telling me about Yushpupi. And so I asked her, I says, it's around Christmas time, a little before Thanksgiving, Yushpupi. She said, honey, she said, oh, but we didn't have no Christmas trees. The kind that you buy today and decorate. She said, I don't want to eat you. So I said, what did you use? She said, we went out and found a tree that had a lot of branches. And we had wrote down all the children's names in the communities, and we hung their names up on the branches of that tree. They said, and then we bought apples and oranges. And so the Yushpupi, the word itself, means to Yushpu, pick it, yeah.
Yeah.
And so, she said, she said, the first person's name that's picked comes from after the prayer, and then he would read that person's name, and they would come up, and he would shake their hands and then turn it over to that individual to pick the next name. So that individual will go up and draw a name and then announce it. The individual's name was first drawn. And so when that individual come up, they either picked an orange and an apple. They didn't take both. They just took either one. All right. And they would shake hands and give each other wopila. Thank you, And so that person just received the apple and orange would stand up next, and he would pick the next one.
Oh.
And then after that, then the one that called the name would go sit down, and they'd repeat all of that until the kids were all done. And then they would turn around and then sing a thank you song. And then all those little kids would get up and take the boxes of apples around and give it to all the elderly that were sitting there. So the oranges and apples providing vitamin C and all this come from it. She said, well, nobody does that anymore.
Yeah.
Yeah. Ushpupi, it's all turned to pretty well commercialized. But our people are adaptable for that. I mean,
Oh,
they accepted the realities of it, so they did the best that they can. You
Huh.
know, made do with whatever it is that they had. But the most significant thing was still in integrating the values. How important it was to recognize each other and giving them, for generosity and the whole gamut of the 7 values that come into play. So the Wahushila and, Wichakhe and all that came into play just from
Yeah.
what they call a Yushpupi,
oh,
And so when he talked about Christmas, I thought to myself, I said, what we do for the children, what we do for, how would you say it, for ourselves as grown-ups, because of our own life experiences, the way things work out sometimes are baffling. I lost my mom and brother just days apart at Christmas. So that kind of always comes up during that time.
Yeah.
And so I keep saying it's for the kids, for the children.
oh,
They need that. Yeah.
Mhm.
And so that's what I do. I don't expect nothing from myself. And anyway, I get socks and I get a stocking cap, I get gloves, that you do. That's right. But the thing that astonishes me, even though it was a hard lesson, I was underneath the car and that car was slipping in a jack. And if I had gotten out of there, I wouldn't be here today because my braids were wrapped around those little wheels on that little bed you lay out underneath the car in cement.
Yeah.
I had to hop my way out of there. And just as I got out of there, that car collapsed.
Oh,
And so if I
man.
couldn't get out of there, I would have been crushed.
Mhm.
And so right then and there, my thought was, I wish I didn't have long hair.
Uh,
And then that came along. So when I lost my mom, I cut my hair. And then my brother came along, I cut it even shorter, and I haven't had long hair since. So that responsibility of having that for myself as an experience or a hurdle in my lifetime, I've learned to put it in its place. And so when that time comes around, I work, I'll provide the substance needed, the hours, the salary for them to buy and enjoy Christmas.
Yeah.
And
oh,
usually I just stay home, and just let things happen. And so in my heart and in my mind, and so I know I did the right thing. I'm doing the right thing. But to me, no matter how we look at it, all right, New Year's has always been the one that I enjoy the most, because what it symbolizes and what they do is they call it theatrical,
yeah.
The baby, the old man dancing with all kinds of energy, sometimes a wicked looking face,
Kick him in
dancing
the
with the
butt
broom,
outside.
just
Yeah.
enjoying himself. He's coming in, and people just laughing at him, and the way he acts and dances. And he would say, "Hey, you hoy, he's gonna get tired." He said,
Yeah.
Pretty soon the baby comes in, they have him in a great big crib, sucking on one of those
Great big
milks that they
bottles.
feed baby calves with. He'd be laying in there.
Yeah.
Big old diapers, like laying in there. A new baby, and then every once in a while, as the song progressed and the cake was going on, he'd sit up. He'd start looking around, and pretty soon he's crawling out of it, barely dancing the way he barely walking, trying to dance. Oh, the old man's really dancing the whole New Year. And pretty soon, as it progresses, getting close to night, that little baby's really dancing. The old man's barely moving. The way they acted out, shit, they were movie stars, man. They just know exactly how those roles are played, And then in the end, they sing the song, I know the song, but no one's ever requested it.
Yeah.
And I learned that song from to the auspices, I should say, through Clarence Adams.
Oh,
And
that's
he
it.
learned,
Yeah.
he learned it from his dad.
Yeah.
His name was Guy Adams.
Yeah.
And it was recorded in Fort Totten.
Oh,
I know that song. Yeah.
remember that time we
So-
named all those kids and you and Clarence had to sing that song 8 times?
Holy smokers, man. Yeah, but it was worth doing. They have it.
Oh.
So anyway, so and the other time, any the other season that comes along, that how would I say that? Is it the naming ceremonies, puberty ceremonies, sun dances, all that stuff? Those are the kinds of things that we are thankful for, you know?
Oh, that's it.
And so when the new moon and all the things associated to astrology, all that comes into play, it's unique, you know, and lifestyle. So we have adapted, made the best that we can, you know, and so wisdom all comes into play because if my grandma didn't say, "You spoopy," I wouldn't know anything about it.
Yeah.
And so though I share that story with the kids, I said, we should do that. And so on occasion we have done it. And just even in our classroom, you know.
You could be
Look,
the old year. You could be the old year.
I wouldn't mind trying it.
Shit, you
I
barely
was
want
Santa
to.
Claus. I was Santa Claus one year, and one of the kids wet himself on my lap. And I walked outside, froze next to me. I had to walk. I'm not
Nejam
doing
na
that again,
umani.
but I did do. Yeah, but I did do it again. But this time, I talked Lakota the whole time.
Oh,
You know, Santa Claus is talking Lakota.
that's it.
And one of the boys said, "That's you, Mr. Bullhead." And I said, "How do you know?" He said, "Tokish Kares Lea." I said, "You have the same shoes." No, that's my twin brother. That's my twin over there.
Yeah, that's my twin. He
No.
works for him.
So, yeah,
Wazia,
so
we
those kinds of offerings, like you mentioned, the things that we practice and exercises, you know, just sometimes it just all falls into place.
Yeah,
It's
yeah,
all a gift.
naturally. Naturally.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because
Gift of
their
life, yeah.
intent is to acquire the same character, but just because it's different doesn't mean that it's wrong. And see, that's where that we have to understand the ability to adapt to these different ways and not look at it like, oh, he's blasphemous because he doesn't celebrate the Christ birth. Well, that's theirs. That they can do that. We don't infringe or impose on that. We just do it differently. And so that's what I'm saying. There's a way in which you can respect what it is that we do in a good way to help us understand the importance of doing these things and realizing that diversity is going to be beneficial to the youth that are usually watching and listening to how we adapt to these various ways. And then, of course, the uniqueness is represented based on just the story you told. We do it differently, like the coming of the new year, the theatrics that's involved. It's different because that's the way we see it. We celebrate it differently, although we don't want to disrespect anything like that, but we just do it differently. And that diversity needs to be understood. That's why I shared that definition of love is acceptance, eh?
One of the expressions I used to always hear is that you can't take a joke without a poke. You know? I went up to eat, and you know, along the bar there at Prairie Nights, they have these games on the bar. A bunch of local people were sitting there, all men playing, and one of my friends was sitting in the middle. And I saw him, so I walked up and I put my hand on his back and said, "Hey, amigo, buenos dias." Oh, NX, oh, toquisha.
I don't know.
I saw all those men sitting there, they laughed at me, turned around, it's a kind of humor that is just different.
Yeah. Different, you see? And then they watch that and they realize, like, that's why I made that example of when somebody falls down, how you know that the Indian or a white guy that's going to help. The one that laughs is the Indian. The one that helps you is the white guy. Oh, there's laying there. I can't pick you up.
I got started on using my hands again.
Yeah.
And so I started sewing. What used to take me an hour to make a drumstick takes me 2 hours.
Yeah.
Timed it,
But you get it done.
This is what I'm doing now.
Oh.
For hard heads, solid.
Yeah.
But I like to use.
Well, now
I
that's
made
a
6 of
20
them.
inch, but they're usually 22. What's going on here?
Yeah, the guy cut them short. He cut them short at the runnings. Yeah.
Yeah.
I assume
They
he's
still
using
work
it.
though. Yeah.
Oh yeah. So anyway,
it's
so my friend and I, we decided to do call it a jam session. We're gonna see if one of those churches will let us into the gym and invite our friends and start getting our voices ready, because we can get back and socialize that much now.
Yeah, I hate you too. Oh, you bet.
We did that once before, and then people just came, and next thing you know, the moms or the grandmas would send soup and fabric over.
Yeah.
We'd sing.
Bring it failed. Yeah.
We'd sing a birthday song for someone's birthday, and next thing you know,
Yeah.
it became a reality. Yeah. And so it became people started knowing the right songs to sing.
Yeah.
So it's going to work out kind of nice for that. So Wednesday will be the jam session.
Did you ever know that guy from Fort Totten named Floyd McKay?
Yeah.
Do you know? Yeah. That guy really used to make songs, and he knew all those old songs too.
I have all his tapes.
Wow. Yeah. Yeah.
Remember he used to be married over there?
Yeah. Yeah.
Bill's
to my
mom?
sister. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, she gave me all those tapes.
Oh, wow. Yeah. Yeah. Old Floyd. I remember he's an old cowboy, and here they had an old timers rodeo. He tried to get on a bull. Next thing I seen him, he's all walking on a crutch and had some kind of thing all stretched across here. They raised out with him. That last time I seen him, he was all buggered up.
Yeah, last time I visited him, he was going by.
Yeah.
I think he ran into a tree or something.
Stein is that? Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, I have all of that.
Wow. Yeah, he used to be good at making 49 songs.
Oh.
Remember?
The homie songs, yeah.
Those love songs.
I have all of that.
Yeah.
I have all that. Matter of fact, we sang one of his songs in Cannonball here. This woman came up, claimed to be his sister, and offered us tobacco not to sing his songs.
Wow.
So later on, I saw him and I told him about it. He said, he kind of got mad. He said, use him. He said, go ahead. He said,
yeah.
You got my permission. He said,
how? Yeah.
To keep him alive. He said. So all those experiences, things it's funny you mentioned that, because I was just looking through the songs and I play them at work.
Yeah. Oh, right on.
Yeah.
Yesterday I had an experience about it was in a court system. I had to go witness in a court, and they were asking me about these various things, and I thought it was really something that they would ask me to go to a court and testify. And what they wanted to understand in the courts, in the legal perspective, is our family orientation, eh? How important that is to us. And I thought that was really cool, because they need to understand the finesse that it takes to incorporate things like this. And that's why I thought today would be a good day to speak about that diversity that exists out there. Not all of us are Christians. We don't all celebrate that, but for the sake, like what you said, Chia, for the sake of the children, to deal with the including them, even with their little buddies when they go back. I got this, I got that PS5, I got this, that, and other, and they brag on each other and all that. But I think it's coming to the point where even the legal system is starting to understand the importance of incorporating a standard that they never did acknowledge before. And so I think they need to understand the importance of that. And so, like, if we could kind of finesse that in there, especially as it relates to that family orientation, eh? Because like Thanksgiving, Easter, Christmas, they all represent a family gathering. Well, we gather too, but it's different. But it needs to be reciprocated back to us and understanding, oh, that's the way you guys do it. Yeah, well, you're welcome. You can come over here if you want. When we have feasts, same thing as Thanksgiving, the intent is the same. We want to respect our visitors, we want to feed them, all that good stuff. And that's what it's all about. And so that happens every weekend at every powwow in Indian country, and people don't understand that. We don't do it just once a year, and then our giveaways, like I always say, we go to gatherings like celebrations of life, powwows, to meet old friends, make new friends. But one of the key things at a powwow is we remember the friends that didn't make it through the year, through that memorial, and through a giveaway, through a song, through an honoring. And people need to understand that, even like the procession of the grand entry or the procession of an honor song, people think you're showing them off. We're not showing them off. What we're doing is we're letting all the people there recognize these individuals that have acquired or accomplished something, and they have proven their strength and their character to follow through and get these things done. So we're bringing them out there in the center so you can recognize them. If you're ever in need, they'll help you. They have the ability to help you. And so even in that attitude of the difference, people are taking it wrong, if there is a word like that in that regard, but they're not understanding how or why we would do something like that. We're not showing them off. We're wanting them to understand the importance of that acknowledgement or that milestone they may have achieved, and we'd like to honor that. We talk good about them. We give away in honor of them. We remember those that didn't make it through the year in honor of the life or what they had given to our societies, to our tribes, as a result of their sufferings and their sacrifices, not for themselves, but for others. And that's one of the things we're trying to convey. That's why I thought it was really something that they asked me to go to court and testify as it relates to family-oriented opportunities that we deal with. And I addressed some of those issues, and it made me think about Thanksgiving, Easter, and Christmas time. I remember FSIN used to have a powwow right during a Lent, and people would get mad about it, and they'd say, well, we're different. And it never inhibited them from stopping the powwow. They'd continue to have it. And sometimes the powwow ended on Easter Sunday, the way the dates, but there was a significant time for that date. It wasn't in spite of Easter, it was just because there was a significance to those dates that they chose that just happened to fall on Lent and usually ended up on the Easter Sunday. But it wasn't to disrespect anything or go against them. It was just that time was there because of some significance in the past that happened and just happened to fall on Easter Sunday. But that never stopped them from having it. They continued to have it. And a lot of people didn't feel comfortable about it, but they adjusted because, again, we celebrated that life in a good way through our singing, through our dancing, through our expression, and sharing that expression of goodness. That's why they always say, "Yushkia na yokpia wachipo mitakiepi, chokatekta hiopo ni chope." They're dance happy, dance glad. They're come into the center. They're inviting you, kind of like that. But some of them wouldn't go just because it was they thought it was condemning Easter, and it was, and had nothing to do with Easter. It was done in a very good, respectful way, but just those dates were significant to that time of that powwow. Did anything like that ever happen, Chie, where something would go on like that and people would take it wrong?
I think there's so much that's misunderstood about those ways.
Yeah.
The difficulty is their inability to inquire, ask about it, ask somebody.
Just ask, yeah.
And what you were talking about is yoni, how they call it, that process of accomplishment, and honoring it, you know.
Yeah.
What
Yeah.
we do for our veterans and we do for individuals like my oldest daughter, Marianne and Haley are
Uh-huh.
becoming this way. And I was trying to tell them, I says, you need to come up here so your relatives can honor you, you know.
Oh. Oh.
I said, no, we're planning on coming up and do some traveling for 2 weeks. So I says, well, I says, let me know when you're gonna be here so we can get prepared, you
Oh.
know, because you know, the what it's gonna take for them to, how would you say, meet the relatives, it's gonna happen over meals, you know.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm looking forward to that. So you might have to come down and help me out with that one.
Oh, watch that. You bet. I'll come down. Just let me know when it is and I'll make time.
But no that corny stuff though.
Well, Periscope, Parasite, same thing. Me and Elijah will come down. We'll represent
It's like
Buffalo cases.
just like this young guy. He come back to the house and is staying with his sister and brother-in-law, but he come back to Oakchuk and Ashkim, and he was. So they said, "Go walk it off." They said, "Before you come back," he said, "Go walk it off." So he left in the dark. Didn't come back for a long time, so they were worried. Finally, they called the police. So they came out. They drove around the fields and spotlight looking around. And they came back and said, "We didn't see anything." He said, "But by golly, you sure got a good looking scarecrow on the fence over there." So yeah, that was him.
That was it. Chen.
Passed
Got
out on the
all
pole. He got
shop
hooked up. So his hands.
Dressed up all kind of shop eye.
Yeah, those kinds of things. Life is to be enjoyed, you know.
Yeah. And you know, that's why I'm saying the adaptation, to adapt to a contemporary time. That's why I mentioned like some of our old people are getting their technical stuff a little bit more up. They're learning how to do the, you and I included. We're learning how to do this because we need to, and to prevent that COVID from spreading. We're helping people understand we can still visit and still tease and joke and enjoy our time together, even though you're way down in 48. Elijah's in his office over here, and then I'm sitting in my house acting tough with my three little partners here. Well, but again, that's something we really need to get out there. Let people know that this is a good way to do it during this time, and at some time in the future, we'll be able, with this developing and this virtue of patience, so it helps us deal with that oneness that we have to experience sometime. It's not loneliness, it's oneness, and it's just kind of adapting in that way. And it's not like, but to participate in dealing with this COVID, like me, I participate in litter by all my garbage in my front seat of my car is all on the floor. I don't throw it out. I don't litter. So I throw it all on the floor. One time I was trying to date this girl and she got in my car, a whole bunch of cans and garbage. She couldn't get in. that shot that one down the road. But no, it's stuff like that.
There's lots of things that have changed over the years. And I think at some point in some time, I said, like I kind of prophesized on it a little bit, that we are slowly returning back to a lot of the intent of the drum, you know, what it really means, you know.
Yeah.
It was there for healing, and it still does that. But the main protocol is that there's a integrity that goes along with it.
Oh.
That has gone on the wayside. I said, it's come to a point where you might have to, how would you say it? Because it's there. You have to have a breath analyzer or something at the gate or something for the singers. Dancers, they're all going in there high and they're all going in there, and you can just tell it. So at some point in some time, the harsh realities and that's going to sit in and say, hey, I need to be more respectful, learn more about it than what you think you know. So our job is just beginning, which reminds me of, are we going to be doing anything in the near future for anything for the singing part of the Dream Drum, or how do you guys want to do that?
Whatever you guys want to do.
No, we have the recording equipment and all that kind of stuff, because once it's laid down, it's going to be forever. So
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm ready whenever
Well-
you. I have a few dates, like I'm on lockdown here, but whenever you're willing and able and Tommy's ready, we can go down there. You can come up here, whatever you want to do.
when's the next winter solstice? Is there a winter solstice? Are we in it now? I forgot.
No, December 21st or something like that.
I think
Yeah,
it's
but
see, Christmas. So during the holidays, then maybe that's a good possibility. Depending on the weather, of course.
Yeah. Then we can go down there, or you can come up here, whatever you want, Chia.
Yeah,
So whatever dates are good for you, just let us know and we'll coordinate it and we'll work it out.
they want to stick to it. Okay, we'll do
Then
something.
you won't have to be going to work or anything. You'll have that, because they said they're gonna probably stay out 3 weeks for school, Gabado. So
Yeah, let's do it.
we'll work it out. And geez, Toshka Elijah got dandy, great big old vehicle. Any snowdrift will bust right through it. Shit will all just dive in with him and just take it all over. He's trying to baby it around right now. He won't take it off the road.
Even a dent on it. But yeah, and then
Yeah.
there's an iPad. Did you get that iPad yet, Earl?
Nope, I haven't seen nothing yet.
Okay,
Maybe
I
got
got,
sent.
yeah, I got an email saying it was delivered. So I don't know if it got delivered to your school over there, but
Okay, I'll check into it.
yeah.
I'll look into it.
Wash they do. And we got to hook up actually Tommy with a new iPad. I think it's functional, but man, it's got some cracks on it. He got really mad after that one podcast. and just-
Oh.
Jeez, kabribidich, yeah.
No, I slipped and I dropped it on the corner. Me and Shane were outside smoking here. I picked it up here, it smashed. It still works, but God, it's starting to fall apart and all the screen is coming off now.
a new one. I forgot about.
It works. But these are way better than that big old laptop. These are way better. Quit, Ukshila. Yeah, but
Well, I got
so
one.
what'd you think of the discussion, Coach Scott? What'd you think about that? I know you got kids and you got lots to contend with in the future in that celebration.
I really liked your the whole discussion. The Yushpapi or Yushpupi.
You spoopy.
That word I
The
remember.
picking.
Yeah, learning the berry pickers, right? But like the way that they indigenized.
Yeah.
I really like that. And then the values, right? It wasn't a greedy thing. It was all kids that could grow up, they learn generosity, but in a humble way. And then you recognize the elders, fed all them. I really like that. It reminds me of the traditional feeds too. You know, they get the young people up there. They serve the young men. But yeah, I really appreciate all of it, and I really hope young parents or anybody out there can really think about that, you know, and how they can get kids to be involved and kind of indigenize some of the Washichu holidays and make it work for them. You know, contextualizing it, I think that adaptation to modern times, I think, is huge. And I really liked it. Thank you for sharing.
Yeah, there's nothing wrong with the participation, eh? And again, because it's for children, like Chie said, it's for kids, you know, and to keep them and to control the impairment to them. We're not going against anything because that's their way. That's them. Henielo, that's them. But it's for children to help them understand the importance of not being greedy and generosity and compassion and all that good stuff, to exercise those sorts of things from a child's perspective, eh? And that's why I mentioned I was involved in that court thing where even the courts are starting to acknowledge it from a legal perspective, how that affects our indigenous people that live on a reservation, eh? Like we're reservified and realizing, acknowledging that difference that exists there. And our children see that, but a lot of even our adults don't know how to apply themselves at times like this and don't know how to put it in perspective. Again, we're not saying nothing against Jesus Christ or Thanksgiving or Easter, the resurrection, all that good stuff. But yet we do buy Easter baskets for them, and then Thanksgiving have a meal for the sake of family. It's just we do things differently, and there's nothing wrong with the active participation, but yet it's what the individual gets out of it or wants to share with that whole thing, and indigenizing it to not take away that honor and that respect or that integrity of who we are as a people, but just to kind of participate in a respectful way. And so there's ways to do that, and everybody is different. Everybody is going to do things. That's why I mentioned it to Toshka, to you, because you got your little family coming up, and you're going to be involved in lots of Christmases in the future. And don't inhibit yourself from going forward and participating, but in a good way, you know. And then when they get old enough and they can understand, you can share some of that. And so, like, I'm like, Chie, I don't even celebrate my birthday because, again, you know, I don't really usually get anything because I don't tell anybody. But that's just the way that I am. So everybody's different, and we got to recognize that diversity that's out there to help it understand in a unique way that natural law process and that natural law value system should be an enhancement, enrichment for the sake of the growth of our children. And so in that, we can really understand we do these things not for ourselves, but for the representation of our family, our tribe, our community, and all these things with that keyword inclusivity, to include everybody. Okay? Is that cool? Oh man, I'm hallelujah time.
Hallelujah. You know, one thing I was thinking was like for birthdays, I've always been hung up. You know, when they're your children are really little, you know, you give them things, blah blah blah. But like, I got a daughter. It's going to be 6 on the 30th, right?
Yeah.
And I was thinking like, okay, you want them to have cake and feel like, but I don't want them to feel like they're the center of attention all the time, and everyone needs to give them things, right? So I'm trying to, how do I indigenize this, right? And so like, without taking away that them being part of, you know, participating in that type of
the celebration itself. Yeah.
And so, you know, I remember like, you know, back in the day, I had some aunties and uncles that would make their kids give all the other kids that show up to the birthday party like sweet grass or something, or make them serve the cake. So now I'm starting to think of those things that I have to make, and you know, naturally visit with the children's mother, but I want to make sure that we're incorporating that type of stuff so they're not learning
consistent. Yeah, being consistent with that understanding. Yeah. Jay, what do you think of that?
You spoopy. Just follow you spoopy.
Spoopy, how'd you too?
Yeah, just follow that method. You know, you take the cake and put it on there and have them come up and get it and shake hands. Call your next relative or friend or classmate, and go with the elderly first. You spoopy. That's what the concept is there. You spoopy.
You know, Toshka, up in Canada, what they do, this is shahia. They make the cake, and then the oldest person there is the first one to cut the cake. And during that cutting, he says a prayer and all that good stuff for a good life for this child. And then he cuts the cake. And that's another significant way you can do that. You know, for good things, long life and all that good stuff. We chose everything for that elder does that. And that's how you can indigenize some of that. At least that's a start. Just so another thought.
Yeah,
Step in the right direction.
Okay.
Where we at?
Nu está o
Oh, no, I was asked. It's getting dark over here. Well,
Dark, oh, huh? Dok sta me dak epid, pete washte yo ha po.
Hey ha ya hey ha ya hey ya hey ha
how é tituelo.
yo hey ha ya
Eita, tanca topa na G. Oh, asteio, ha. Eu já quero a tia gangster. Okay.
hey yo hey ha ya hey ha